everyone, my name is Nicolette Maggiolo.
I'm Pierce Lark.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Emily Burgess.
And we are registered dietitians for Home Base, a partnership of the Red Sox Foundation and Mass General Hospital.
Our goal at Home Base is to provide customized, evidence-based nutrition education, support, and guidance to our veterans, their family members, and to the rest of Home Base Nation.
We're excited to share exclusive content and our love of nutrition with you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm Pierce. I'm one of the dietitians with the Warrior Health and Fitness program. Today I'm going to be walking you through a curry that should only take about 20 or 30 minutes. And it only requires a few ingredients that you might not have at home. One of those ingredients would be curry paste, which you can get in the ethnic foods aisle. The other one being coconut milk, which you can also get in the ethnic foods aisle. So like I said, this recipe should only take about 20 or 30 minutes. And the best thing about it is it's quick, it's easy, you can use most any produce that you have in the house. So today we're going to be using carrots, peppers, onions, broccoli, and I had extra zucchini and cabbage. So we're going to be throwing that in there too. It's a pretty flexible recipe, so you can really use anything that you want. And our protein for the meal, to make it a more balanced meal, is going to be chicken. But you can use plant-based options too, like beans or lentils. That would go great with this. And we're going to cook it today in a wok. So if you don't have a wok, you could just use a big pan or a larger skillet. That should work fine too. So let's get started. So we'll probably start with our carrots first. So the way that I like to process these is I'll cut off each end first. And then rather than having a wobbly cutting surface like that, I'll usually try to create a flatter surface. So this way, if you cut it, long ways and then you have it sitting flat, it's not going to roll on you. And then you can just begin to, process your carrot until you have a nice dice on there. So last time you may have noticed the cutting board was a little loose. So if that's the case and you're on a tile surface like that, you can get a wet paper towel and just put it under there, and that way it doesn't move as much. So next we'll do the pepper. The way I like to do this is, again, try to get a flat cutting surface. So I'll cut one side off. Now I have a flat surface so it's not rocking. And I'll just cut each side like that. And then once you have these slices, you'll just do a long ways cut like that, and then roll it over. And when you're cutting things, try to roll your fingers in so that you're not having your fingers out like that, so that you don't lose a digit. And so we'll just cut the rest of these like that. So next we'll probably cut our onion here. And I'm not gonna make you watch me cut all these. I just thought it'd be helpful to get an idea of, some introductory knife skills. When we cut the zucchini, it's gonna be the same as the carrot. Slice it long ways, slice each end off, and go for a similar size cut. You wanna make sure everything's cut in a similar size so that you don't have, huge pieces and small pieces, so that everything cooks evenly. But for the onions, same as always, we'll cut off each end. And then once we have a nice flat surface like that, cut it in half. And we'll probably use about a half an onion. I know I said this recipe is easy because you don't have to measure anything, but I guess if I had to put a quantity on it, we're probably going to use about half a cup of each of these produce items. So half a cup of peppers, half a cup of onions, half a cup of carrots, and so on and so forth. So once we do that, then we'll take the outer layer off the onion. And then I like to do mine where I slice tall ways like that, trying to keep everything in line. And then put it back together as best you can. No pressure, the camera's rolling. And then I turned it there, and then I'm just gonna cut it the rest of the way until you have a nice dice. So our chicken's been cooking for about 5 minutes or so it's almost cooked fully through. We're gonna add our curry paste in now, and so this is just a blend of different spices. It's a very low-calorie food, so it provides great flavor and it's convenient. So we'll probably do about 2 tablespoons if you're the measuring type into there. And you can add more or less depending on how intense you want the flavor. We'll mix that in. And then we'll add in the rest of our produce. I like to start with the garlic, start with the aromatic vegetables or herbs. So start with the garlic, let that be in there for a little bit. And then you're gonna let that cook for a few minutes. Some people like to use certain vegetables first in their cooking process, but usually I just dump it all in at once. Like carrots, they're a little bit more firm than peppers and onions, so they may take a little bit longer to cook, but in this recipe everything cooks pretty well and it ends up pretty soft and well cooked, so it shouldn't be a problem. And I know it looks like a mountain of produce in there, but when you cook this produce, it'll definitely shrink up a little bit. So we've let these vegetables cook for about 10 minutes. As you can see, they got much smaller. Things kind of softened up a little bit. And the curry paste, by the way, does contain salt in there. Not a significant amount, but it does contain that. So I'd encourage you just try it without additional salt to see how the flavor is. You maybe can add some pepper to taste too. So now we're gonna add our coconut milk. And coconut milk, it is a fairly significant source of calories, but it looks like we have about 3 or 4 servings here. So this should be plenty. So we're gonna put the coconut milk in there and let that simmer, let that thicken up a little bit with our curry paste and vegetables. So you can see the finished product here. We served our curry over rice. That would be how I suggest serving it. You can also try something like naan bread instead. And this recipe is good for 2, 3, 4, depends how many you're cooking for. But because we did just use whatever produce we had on hand, you can really bulk up the size of the dish that way. If you like this recipe and you want to check out more recipes like this, homebase.org/nutrition is where you find more nutrition videos and recipes. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please share our content with your family and friends, and don't forget to follow us on social media at Home Base Program.